Welcome to Money Talk Minute, where you have an opportunity to learn more about Moneytalk Financial Foundations as a nonprofit organization. Money Talk started as a result of me doing financial counseling, which I went through the Dave Ramsey counselor training in June of 2009. And one of the individuals attending one of the Financial Peace University series that I was leading wanted to start a prison ministry. And the prison ministry had 4 different segments to it. FPU was one of those. And he and I went and met with the reentry coordinators at one of the correctional facilities. And they weren't really interested in what he was proposing because it was stuff that was already being done. There wasn't really any value add there. But then they looked at me. And what they told me was that the majority of the inmates, I think they even said like 99% of them, have not graduated high school, have never held a job, never had a bank account, and the majority of them struggle to read and write. And that the financial literacy programs that are currently available were too advanced for them. And their volunteers were taking bits and pieces of different programs and trying to simplify them to get them down to the very basics, down to the foundational level, and teach the inmates some basic financial skills that will help them, hopefully, financially once they are out in the community. And after that happened, I started having dreams, visions, whatever you want to call it. And it took a couple of weeks before I realized God was talking to me. And when I finally said, "Yes, Lord, I'm here, I'm listening," then I started getting every night more and more. This is the nonprofit you're going to start, and this is what it's going to do. And it very quickly, the person that I was at the time, with my lack of self-esteem and my lack of self-confidence, well, let's just say that the Lord was definitely going to qualify the called, because he was not calling the qualified at that time. I was not qualified at that time at all. I have definitely growing into the person that God wants to lead this nonprofit. So anyway, I started creating our own materials and our own programming at a very basic level, but and I did it in several different correctional facilities, including Topeka Correctional for quite some time, at the Juvenile Detention Center out in Johnson County. That was actually my very first one, and it was over Christmas break. They needed something for their residents to do, so that was very, very interesting. And also up at Fort Leavenworth in the JRCF, the Joint Regional Correctional Facility, on the military base, and that was kind of eye-opening. But it was great because I loved, it was the men's facility. The sentence was 10 years or less for the men who were there, and they were always so kind and polite and respectful to me, and I think I probably learned as much from them as they did from me, in that I've never had a bankruptcy and I've never had some of those other things. And a couple of things that they said really kind of stuck to me, and I think it was God telling me that these are some things that you really need to focus on. And it came from these gentlemen. One was, he had pointed out how when I was explaining and teaching things to them, that they really appreciated how I simplified it without making them feel dumb or talked down to. Like, you're too stupid to understand this. That I never did that. It was simplified, but still done with respect. And they pointed that out, and it's just something that's really stuck with me in making sure that when I'm explaining things, to try and make sure that I don't lose that aspect. The other thing was one of the gentlemen, he, at the time I was printing out actual workbooks that had all the information in it, and everybody got the same workbook regardless if it was a 2-hour class or a 30-minute class. That way they all had the same information. And this gentleman was going back to his pod, and whatever we had learned in class that night, he was teaching everybody else in that pod what we had learned and going through the workbook with them, which was just kind of gave me chills. It was awesome. And you never know the ripple effect of when you're helping somebody and how they pass that on and how that person passes it on. You never know the full impact that you're having. And that was one thing that God really kind of showed me with that when the gentleman shared that with me, that he had been doing that every single night that I was out there. He was sharing that information and teaching the other inmates that were in his particular pod, I believe is what it was called. The other thing was, and that's part of what got me out of the correctional facilities and fully into the community, was when he came up with his stack of books, and he goes, "This is great information," as he's tapping the top of the stack. And as soon as I get out, I'm going to reread every one of them. It's like, wow, smack against the face there. I'm teaching this to folks who, most of it they really can't use. I mean, some of the budgeting stuff they can use if they have money that they're getting from family, or maybe they are on some kind of work release and they have some funding, some money coming in that they can hopefully learn to manage it and not just blow it all at the commissary or the online catalog or whatever because they're bored. And so that way, hopefully, when they get out, they will have more than just a brown paper bag with a few items in it. They'll actually have, some money that they could get an apartment, rent a hotel, do something, and not just be out there with nothing and no support and find themselves right back in jail again. So when I got into the community, I've done a lot of financial literacy workshops in middle school, high school, college. I've done workshops within other nonprofit organizations. We've done a few for the community, not very many, and I'm not sure if that's my marketing, promotion, lack of having a predetermined space, or cost, or the night, or the topic, or there's just too many variables. I don't know. We have done a Moneytalk Academy, which is a 6-week series with a specific focus. Our pilot on that was October 2019. And while we had 3 people that were there the entire time, that was a good number for the pilot, and it was very well received. Everyone enjoyed it. And we are planning on doing several more with different focuses, such as couples learning how to use financial tools to work towards financial stability, to work towards getting on and staying on the same page as a couple, to home ownership for first-time home buyers, to senior living, whether somebody is a senior or maybe they are caring for their parent or a loved one who is at that age where they're using Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security, so that they can understand how it works and be able to better and more confidently help that family or loved one. I hope you enjoyed this Money Talk Minute and were able to learn a little bit about Moneytalk Financial Foundations as a nonprofit organization, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.